This is the Building Walls podcast, episode number 52, recorded September 14th, 2021. Hypochondriacal Pussycats.
That's why I made it a priority my entire career to work closely with you. From the time I got to the Senate 180 years ago.
No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense.
I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years and that I'm going to beat Joe Biden. Look at my record.
Calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
Take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states.
Welcome to episode 52 of the Building Walls podcast here. I'm Chad Whalls and my cohort.
I'm Chris Dayton. What's up, Chad? We ready for another show?
The man himself. Let's do this.
All right, let's go. We got a big lineup here. We're going to be talking about some September 11th stuff. You ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, it was September 11th, right? Just a couple days ago. And I know we were talking a little bit before the show, and, there's been a ton of that stuff from, the Friday before, Thursday before, of course, on Saturday. And we were talking about was it a Netflix short series, I guess? You would call it Turning Point?
Turning Point on Netflix.
And it's so crazy that, as I'm watching that, my first thought is, how did a group of people commit this crime, this terrorist attack? And you're chatting with people or listen to them chat about the events that happened on that day. And it's almost like no one believed that someone would attack the US, right? Like, who is stupid enough to attack the US? It's not going to end well for you. Am I wrong?
If you're sitting around in the desert with your goats and your sheep, and you're talking to your fellow countrymen, and you're like, you know what? Here's what we should do. Let's attack America. I gotta imagine that conversation was met with like, yeah, dude, that's probably a bad idea.
But I mean, you think, right? Bin Laden was a CIA trained asset, right? So it's not like they didn't have any familiarity with some of the inner workings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you couldn't pull it off.
Right.
It's usually the retribution, the fallout after whatever you do. And in this case, 20 years of occupation by the United States, only to, leave. We can talk about whether or not we should still have been there or not or whatever, but I think we can all agree 20 years was plenty of time to get our point across. Maybe don't do that again. But Chad, are you at all surprised that on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 that there wasn't a terror attack? It seems like they were kind of, with the way we pulled out of Kabul and the chaos of getting everybody out, it just seemed like it was ripe for somebody to do something and then blame, everything on the 20-year anniversary. Are you surprised?
If we're going to teeter on the line of conspiracy, I'm not surprised that nothing happened because, it's almost like a risk-reward scenario for a group such as the Taliban or Al-Qaeda, any of them, to do something like that, right? You got to think about, what is the risk-reward scenario? What was the point of them doing it?
Yeah, again,
And
I mean, if you're
I guess
sitting
I
there,
don't know.
I mean, if you're sitting there, like I said, you're over in the Middle East. It's not like you're hanging out at the lobby of the Marriott, like just chilling at the bar, having some drinks because you're in town for a conference, and you're like, you know what? Hey, here's what we should do. We should blow up a couple buildings in good old America. That sounds like a good idea. I just don't see that transpiring, and being progressed. But then the planning and everything that went into it. And if you watch that show, Turning Point, I mean, it starts to get into that. In the second episode, it's talking about, the other two planes. You had the first two planes that hit the towers, and then you had the one that hit the Pentagon, and then the one that was presumably heading to the Capitol building before Todd Beamer and crew rallied up and showed them why you don't mess with America. And I mean, the countless lives that were saved from their heroic actions will go down in history as, hopefully it's in the history books, because we much love our revisionist history here, especially over the last 2 years or so. But hopefully we can keep this right, 20 years from now, that people still remember that the passengers of Flight 93, made it happen and put that plane into the fields in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and as we're chatting about this, I do want to let it be known that we are in no way endorsed or affiliated with Netflix. Just so we don't get into any trouble there.
Yeah, hey, cutie.
So it's funny what you mentioned about Todd Beamer and Flight 93. If you haven't read through the transcript of what occurred through that emergency phone call, it's pretty crazy. It's a tearjerker. Todd Beamer's having a phone call with a dispatcher for a 911 operator and having the conversation about, like, hey, this is what's going on. Can you tell my wife that I love her? Can you tell my kids? My wife has a kid on the way, I think, or they just had a newborn, and then he's laying out for him the plan. This is what we're gonna do. Just we're taking this plane back. We're not letting them do what they've set out to do. We're gonna die.
How total American
we're gonna die
is
anyway.
it to just ball out and be like, "You guys ready? Let's roll." I mean, like,
dude,
legendary stuff right there, and that's why you just hope that that doesn't get twisted over the years, and people remember what really happened.
Get you in the feels. 9/11 will be a day to remember.
Do you remember the country, like 3 days after that, and 4 days, and the weeks right after that? Just how tight everybody was.
I mean, when's the last time that American president walked out to throw the first pitch at a baseball game and everyone cheered him on?
Everyone cheered him on.
We might not ever see that day again, right? It's amazing.
It is truly remarkable how different our country is today than we were just 20 years ago. When the tragedy happened, people really pulled together, man. It was almost like nothing else mattered. The gravity of the situation, and that's part of what I think makes that Netflix special so powerful, is the imagery. And they have the different camera angles, and they literally show the video of both planes crashing, straight into the towers, and it's unbelievable. It's even shocking. It resonates in your soul. You just think, I've flown on lots of planes. Chad, I've flown out to see you in Connecticut. Like,
yeah.
What if they diverted the plane and then they just fly it into a building? Dude.
Right, I've flown on over 100 flights, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're both well-traveled, seasoned travelers, and it's almost unfathomable to think that morning somebody just got up, they're just boarding their flight, they're trying to make it on time, get through, get to the gate, and next thing you know, all that's happening on your flight. Just makes things, you just don't want to take anything for granted, but I miss the America that we were 20 years ago when we were pulling together.
speaking about taking anything for granted, I mean, I think that this is important, right? Especially with what we do, what we want to accomplish with this show. You know, taking a stand, getting our voices out there, and think about Todd Beamer and every other flight or every other person who was on those flights. You didn't wake up that morning or go to bed the night before thinking like, what if my plane crashes tomorrow? Right? And sometimes we don't, it takes a moment, or like the 20th anniversary of 9/11, to sit back and think about some of those things that you might take for granted. And that, you know, it's just like a New Year's resolution every year, right? Some people make the same resolutions over and over again.
Ridiculous.
But if you miss out on your New Year's resolution, you're not going to die, right? You're not going to get caught up in a terrorist attack, right? You're not going to get put in a moment where you have to risk your life. But moments like this, you know, it makes you think that what was going through those people's heads, and how can I, you know, live every minute to the fullest? Because I was talking with my wife watching Turning Point and thinking about those people who were on the floors above where the plane crashed into them. And they said there was no escape. There was an elevator. Elevator wasn't working. Right? So you're sitting there for 30 plus minutes. And you know that the end is coming, right? You're either going to stand here and see God at the pearly gates in a few minutes, or you're going to jump out of a window, right?
Yeah, and there's the video of the people jumping.
Right, and it's stuff like that that we take for granted because, well, that never happened to me.
You know, when the building comes out, when the North Tower came down, and they got the video of it, and it looks like it's a Hollywood movie. The way that it's coming down, and the smoke is billowing up, and the people are running, and you just shake your head, and you're like, that's real life. That is not a movie. This is insane. And it all comes back to, yeah, it's people who decided they wanted to attack America. And you got to ask the question, who's the last country in the planet, in the whole world, that you would want to attack? I think you posed that before pre-show.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. If you're sitting around with your buddies, like, all right, let's list off the countries we should attack. And maybe let's list off the countries we should never attack, or we don't want to. And I got to imagine that America would be at the top of that list. You know, the one in the ladder, America. But you know what? They did change the world. They forever changed the world. And you really got to ask yourself, like, why are we, as humanity, why are we always fighting? What exactly are they fighting for?
The Holy War, right? Allegedly, is saying that your land is mine and my land is yours, and that we have the rightful heir to the throne.
Yeah,
because of
death to America, right? Like, why do they chant that? Like, what is it about America that they've decided, that side of the world has decided we all deserve to die? And that's the part that drives me the nuts about even our own populace, is that they do not understand these people want to kill you. They don't want to be your friend. They're trying to kill you. They want to take what you have. They want to take your freedom.
That's a hot button topic nowadays, right?
Right.
As we know, as we chat about. So before we get too ahead of ourselves here, did you have anything else you want to add before we get into the weekly rant here? Because we've definitely started the show off a little different. We usually don't go too hard into a topic like this, but we're definitely there.
Now. We have a producer now, so that producer is the one that's like cracking the whip and being like, hey, hardcore right out of the gate.
Mr. Producer has brought structure to an unstructured environment for us.
I would like everyone to give a shout out to Mr. Attack Helicopter himself.
I mean,
Which, if you listen to our last episode, you get it.
yes. I mean, is it such a bad thing that I'm bringing structure to the show, or
Not at all.
No? Okay. Just making sure.
The 7 people who
We're just
actually
glad you're
listen to
showing
us
your
love
face.
us now.
Yeah, I was gonna, so my face, I need to shave, but my wife is like, oh, you should grow it out like through November and see what happens. I'm like, this is
Oh, the
not,
wives love that.
this is not gonna do much. Like, I'm so patchy. Like, look at this. I mean, it's rough, man. It's rough.
So to share a quick story with you, man. I know it looks a little patchy now. For my beard to look remotely anything that resembles a man, it took me about 7 months. I had to go through 7 months of patchiness before it just got long enough and it covered up the patches.
That sounds like a lot. That honestly, if I have to be honest, that sounds like so much time, so much effort. Like, that's like, it doesn't help too that when I was younger, I fell and smashed my face on the ground and had stitches in my chin, so I can't grow hair on part of my chin too. So I've got that problem as well.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 1 month in, so this is 1 month of growth here.
That's
We're
impressive.
Commander
I will say.
Dayton.
Commander Dayton.
Civil War commander.
Something like that.
Whatever it is. So, as we transition from our commercial break that we never had, and again, we are in no way affiliated with these beer rants or these beer things we do, but I would like to share something. I came onto this about a month ago. So Guinness, I love Guinness. Dayton knows I love Guinness.
Guinness.
Smooth beer, but they came out with a nitro cold brew coffee beer. So it's Guinness brewed with cold brew coffee. And have you ever had a mocha latte, Chris?
Oh yeah.
That's literally what it tastes like. It's something that you can, it's something you can enjoy at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning because it's got coffee. Obviously.
Or 9 a.m. when your buddy rolls into town from Detroit and you pick him up at the airport.
Nothing better than having a coffee in the morning, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So,
with that said, the weekly rant's coming up.
Here we go, brothers and sisters.
I see you smirking already. This is going to be a good one. If you're listening to this is not the time to turn off the podcast. If you're listening to this in the morning and you just rolled up to work, sorry, boss, I'm going to be late.
Here's why. I'll tell you why. We have a real problem right now in our entire country, and that's people are not understanding what happens when there's a transition of government. And if you're not paying attention right now, you should be, because we are not a representative republic anymore. You used to think like, hey, I'm going to cast a ballot. I'm going to vote for this guy. I'm going to vote for this person or this gal to go represent my needs and my interests in Washington, D.C. or at the state level. My governors, whatever, we're going to vote for these people, and they're going to represent the constituency in the communities. And they're not that anymore. That's not what we have. We have people now like AOC who are voted in, and then she is going to decide what is best. So she wins an election, or Nancy Pelosi wins an election, or in this case, Joe Biden wins an election. And you know what? These people are now changing our government into a monarchy ruling class, from a representative government to a monarchy. Now, not like a king, not like a queen, not like the royal family, but hey, like a monarchy, right? Where everything is from the top down, and the monarchy seems to know what is best for everyone else. And they're the ones that are going to make the decisions. Does that sound familiar? It sure, I almost swore, but I didn't. But I almost did, because it makes me that mad. I get that much boiling blood in my body that it sure sounds familiar right now when you're listening to people talk about the changes and, well, we know better. We may need to make these decisions for for you lesser people who don't know how to think, you Trumpites, you Biden lackeys, everybody's an idiot now, according to the ruling class. But the ruling class only just gets in, and they're only fighting to stay in power. They only want to stay in power. That's it. And they'll do and say whatever it takes on both sides to stay in power. Because they know better than you. And they're going to let you know that. We need to put a stop to it immediately, or we're going to end up fighting. We're going to end up fighting. There's going to be bloodshed, and there's going to be people fighting to put this back to the representative republic that it's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, look at it. Pay attention. Hey, you need mandates. You need this injected into you because you're too stupid to know that what you do and what you need and what you don't need. Hey, you need to be told how to pay your taxes. We're gonna create a infrastructure bill. We're gonna charge you more money. You know how we're gonna pay for it? We're gonna tax the rich. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tax the rich. Well, you know what? We don't need more taxes. We just need an equal playing field with equal opportunity, not equal outcome. Because I heard Tony Robbins say this. This is going to be the end of the rant. But I heard Tony Robbins say this when I was in Texas a few weeks ago. He goes, our biggest problem is the fact that everybody thinks that we're equal. And although we are equal across the board in our spirits, we're equal, brothers and sisters. In my case, I believe we're brothers and sisters in Christ, but we're all equal. But here's where we're not equal. We're not equal in the marketplace. I have skills and talents and abilities that are different than Chad. Chad has skills, talents, and abilities. And so does Matt here on this show. Everybody, your family, everybody has different skills, talents, and abilities. And those have value. And they're weighted in the marketplace. You can change what you're good at, but you better get your stuff together and stop blaming everybody and stop waiting for everybody to take care of you. That's not America. That's not where we want to live. And I'm telling you what, man. People better pay attention. Otherwise, it's going to be too late.
Bravo. There will be blood.
Coming.
That was awesome. Because the left thinks, right? And we say this over and over again. The left is, we're not talking about specific people or people who vote Democrat, right? The left, this ideology that if you scream it loud enough, it must be true, right? When that could not be further from the truth. How wild is it that AOC can wear a dress to the Met Gala that says tax the rich? A gala, as Mr. Producer's showing it here. This gala, do you know what the entry fee is for this, Chris?
$30,000.
$30,000. So you have to be rich. You have to be rich, or else it's your last pennies. You have to be in the top 1% of income earners in the U.S. to be able to get into this, right?
I wonder how her abuela is doing.
No one cares anymore. Why? Because it wasn't about her grandmother.
Right?
Right? It was about a political statement.
She's still living in squalor, but you're going to $30,000 events. Okay.
Right. Living in squalor because she crushed Matt Walsh's, what they raised like over $1 million for her grandmother.
It was definitely six figures or more. I forgot what it was, but it was a lot of money.
And they squashed it because if they're not screaming it, it's not true. Right? Because it's only if the left screams loud enough, it must be true. But this is obvious hypocrisy.
Isn't that all of politics?
You're wearing it. You're wearing it to an event that costs $30,000. And you're going to say tax the rich. Do you not understand the hypocrisy and how taxes and economics work?
Well,
What's going on?
She definitely does not understand anything about economic structure, or I at least should say she doesn't understand capitalism, for sure. She does not understand how capitalism has created the most amount of wealth and the most prosperity and the best middle class in the history of the world. The history of the world, which I think would tie back into why the rest of the world doesn't really like us, because we've created a system rooted in freedom and choice and opportunity that then helps us, accomplish and live great lives. And she just doesn't understand it. She wants to take that from us.
If the government couldn't rule, there wouldn't be government. Right? People like her think that capitalism, these people are so greedy. They only want what's best for themselves. They think that these people who only want best for themselves are going to all of a sudden produce in a system that takes their wealth and gives it to everyone else who doesn't produce themselves or want to produce for themselves, right? Or who doesn't want to learn a new skill, like you said, that Tony Robbins had mentioned, who doesn't want to learn a new skill or trade to make themselves more valuable in the marketplace. Like, it's like the Roadrunner statement, right? Like, the fact that you're saying that is in and of itself a defeating statement. It's like saying that
over and over again.
Yeah, it's like saying that there's no such thing as an absolute truth. You can't make that claim because you're claiming an absolute truth, that there's no such thing as an absolute truth. But how many times do we hear this stuff on CNN, on Fox News, on MSNBC, coming out of Uncle Joe's mouth?
It's the hypocrisy is at all-time highs. And what I would say is it's on both sides. So it just sucks that it's on both sides.
Right.
But even Bill Maher has gotten to a point, and Bill Maher is a noted leftist. He's a noted Democrat, and he's had enough. Because I think he actually sees that the people on the left have gone too far. They've just gone too far. There's an overreach. It's borderline chaos right now with some of this stuff. I mean, he just recently came out and was hammering the fear that they have over COVID. Nobody's saying that COVID's not real. It is real. But the fear and the level of fear that people have instituted, it's not doing anyone any favors. In fact, it's created a big mess, where people now have vaccine hesitancy and there's misinformation about that. I mean, we can just transition right into our next topic, I guess. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, the president of the United States decides, you know what? I'm not going to talk about Afghanistan anymore. My handlers won't let me talk about it. I can't take any questions on it. And I've been instructed now to make some BS vaccine mandate coming down the pike. And we're going to do that instead. Right?
Now he's coming down, right? Mandating that businesses with more than 100 employees have to require your workers to be vaccinated. Now, what's crazy about this is, what is a mandate, right? Does the office of the president have the power to say what you can and cannot do?
Yeah, I thought a mandate was when I was going to go out with one of my boys out to B-dubs or something, grab some beers. Like, hey, I'm going on a mandate.
But, all across the U.S. right now, we have municipalities, towns, cities, states mandating, right? Not writing it into law, mandating that you have to wear a mask, right? Or that you have to be vaccinated. But what is a mandate? That
I feel like an Allen Iverson thing is coming out
right?
Here. Like, we're not talking about the law. We're talking about mandates. A mandate. the mandate. We're not talking about the law.
We're not talking about
not the law
this
that we
life.
love.
Yeah.
Not the law that we cherish and we follow. We're talking about mandate? Come on, man. Mandates?
But that's what it is, right? It's not. So we vote to put elected officials into certain positions, right? And they have a responsibility. They have a duty to the people. So if they mandate that you're required to be vaccinated or to wear a mask, is that something that we have to follow?
You know what? You've got 2 kids, right? I've got a daughter. We mandate to our children. This is how I think about it. A parent tells the child how it's going to be. We're making a rule that has to be followed. The child doesn't have a choice in the matter because I'm the parent and they're the child. That's how this works. They get to grow up and then they get to decide what they want to do and how they want to live their life, not needing mandates anymore. But why is our government acting like mom and dad, telling me what I need to do, treating me like I'm a child? I am a 44-year-old man. I am a man. I am a grown man. I do not need, that's an Oklahoma State reference, just in case everybody was wondering.
Well, Mike Gundy.
Well, Mike Gundy rant there. I'm a man. But seriously, I don't need somebody to mandate anything to me. This is America. I get to choose. It's my choice. It's freedom. Freedom to choose what I want to do. And I think we've lost that. I really do. I think people do not understand that concept anymore because they say, well, you can't do that now because if you don't do this, you're hurting me. That's the argument, right? This is America. You can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anyone else, right? You can't kill anybody. You can't steal from them. You can't, run them over with a car or, do whatever stuff. You can't burn down their house, right? We all accept these things as the laws of our land for decency in a civilized community. And the argument is, well, you need to be vaccinated to protect me. But this is the insanity of it. Why do I have to be vaccinated or do anything for you if you choose to be vaccinated? So the unvaccinated have to be vaccinated in order for the vaccinated to be protected. Let me say it a different way. The protected have to have the unprotected become protected in order for their protection to work. This is insane. It doesn't even make sense.
It's insanity because the main thing that you pointed out is that there's laws against murder. There's laws against arson. There's laws against those things, right? If it's not law, if it's not in the Constitution, do you have to do it? Because laws are only created, well, they're supposed to be created by Congress, whether it's the local, state Congress or the federal, right?
Yeah,
so
the legislative branch is
what
supposed
is a mandate?
to create.
If it's not a law, it's unconstitutional. If it doesn't follow the Constitution, you don't have to follow it. But this is exactly what we talk about. Is like you're saying that Bill Maher was saying that they create this fear, right? So they create a social aspect to this, a public aspect that even though I'm allegedly protected, right, I'm going to now shame you into believing that you have to follow a mandate that there's no law that says you have to follow. Because it's not law. It's unconstitutional, right? You cannot make me walk around with a mask on my face. Exactly. So I kind of had this thought of, you're right, people don't want to lose their jobs because people can't lose their jobs. And I've seen people say, when you walk into that store, just wear a mask, because it's not them who are trying to make you wear a mask. They're told they have to make you. Well, why don't you grow up and take a stand? Because if we continue to give in to this crap, it's going to continue to become what it is, right? They're going to continue to mandate and mandate and mandate, and nothing's ever going to become law. Nothing's ever going to become constitutional, because they know that they can just continue to push a mandate, and that the public will continue to spread these unconstitutional mandates, right? So they don't have to do anything more.
But Chad, that's the workaround. You're using the government now, and the people who are pushing this, and the artificial way of enforcing these ridiculous, quite frankly, draconian measures. They're not doing it, through the government. They're doing it through private business. They're telling you, hey, Delta tells you have to wear a mask on a flight. Why? Why do I have to wear a mask on a flight? I mean, I'm gonna take my mask off to eat the little peanuts and the Biscoff cookie. So now my germs are gonna be in the air regardless. And I'm encapsulated in this little pill. I mean, there's no rational thought to this. It's all designed. It's all pomp and circumstance. Sorry. I just understand.
I'm not sure what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've got another storm coming through here. It just started pouring here.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going to tell me I have to wear a mask so I don't spread germs in this little tube of infestation where I've rubbed elbows and shoulders with everyone on this plane at some point between us boarding the flight and getting off of the flight, right? Like, what do you mean? So the one I think is the best is you have to wear your mask through the restaurant, but not when you're at the table. Right? Because you're right, I don't cough on my hands or breathe on my own skin or on the people I'm with skin. So that when we stand up from this table and put our hands on the table to get up and grab the door handle to go to the restroom, right? To do all of that, where these germs can be transferred from one to another. But you know what? I should probably wear my mask when I'm just walking alone freely through the restaurant, because at that point where I'm not near anyone anyway, but I might breathe on somebody.
How about this? You got Joe Biden, who will get so fired up and speak angrily about the masks and the vaccines, and it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated, but he won't even talk at the September 11th memorial. His handlers don't trust him to say the right things. And meanwhile, you've got college football games now for 2 weeks in a row, packed stadiums. Now, the past week just had the NFL opening up, more packed stadiums of
a lot of money.
College football, lots of money. Hey, but those people are shoulder to shoulder, no masks, no nothing. But yet my kid has to wear a mask going to school. Why? Where's the science in that?
Where's the science in a mask anyway? If you're sick and you're breathing into that mask all day, every day.
Yeah, it's even worse for you.
Yeah, you're not making yourself better. The whole point of coughing is to get rid of what is in your body. So if I'm going to cough into a mask, is that helping me? I don't know. Why don't we put the mask on your face? Because if you got to be masked, you might as well wear a mask, right? Because apparently any mask will do.
Why does someone else have to wear a mask to protect me if I have the option and ability to wear my own?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
if you live your life expecting, and see, this is what they do. This is what the left pushes, right? they want to push this welfare state that you now have to depend on someone else. That's what they've been doing for forever now, is that I don't expect myself to protect me, Chris. I want you to protect me too. Because if you don't, it's really going to hurt my feelings. And it was great that I saw a shirt. I don't know if you saw this. I saw a shirt on social media in reference to Christians, and says, if you believe in your God and therefore you don't have to wear a mask because you'll be protected, why do you need a gun?
Oh yeah. You saw my response to that, right?
Yeah.
Did you see my?
Yeah. So you say that if I believe in my God, I don't have to wear a mask because I'll be protected. But why do I need a gun? Well, you know what? I hope to God that the next time that you're in a area or in a position where someone has lethal force and is about to use it against you, that someone else has a gun, not a mask.
I thought my response was great. I had a million people liking it, but I basically said I need a gun so I can set appointments for you to see God.
Right. But that's what
That's all.
this is. The left always tries to form these wild contrasts between the two, right? Like reading that, you can read it and be like, oh, wow, that's a really good point, right? It is. It is a good point.
Yeah, because it's an attack on faith.
Right. But again, what happens when somebody's shooting at you? You better hope that I have a gun. Because unlike COVID, my gun is not just to protect me, it's to protect others, right? And when the founding fathers, who they knew history, they knew about plagues, they didn't write in the Bill of Rights, right, that everyone should wear masks in case of harmful, deadly illnesses cover the earth. No, they said you have the right to bear arms, not you have the right to bear masks, right?
You said it was a welfare state. I want to change that. It's not. They don't want a welfare state. They want a parent state. They want to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and why to do it. And you're supposed to just take it because they're the parents and we're the idiot children.
Right.
The only difference is they never want us to grow up and actually pass them the way that I want my child to grow up and actually do great things and make an impact on the world. I just want her to be happy. I don't even care about if she makes an impact in the world. I just want her to be happy and be able to be living in a world where she's not tormented with other people's whims. That's what it is. These people are. Have you ever met a hypochondriac?
Yes.
Okay. It's fine. I'm not judging.
Earlier, oddly enough.
I'm literally like, that's fine. You do you, but I don't need to be that. And you don't get to tell me. Can you imagine if the hypochondriac was the one making the policy? For everything has to be clean, everything has to be wiped down, everything has to have shields up in it. You have to put up plastic barriers in between everything. Oh my God, they are in charge. Hello? They let a hypochondriac get in charge, and they let the fear. Those people are irrationally fearful. If fear is real, fear is good. It can save you. It can help you. It's an innate thing that we have, that sometimes, it's okay to be afraid. You should be. But it's not okay to rule your life. And if we let the people who are so overtly afraid of everything, I mean, have you ever met the person who's afraid of like a bug? A little ant, they freak out, or a little spider, they like panic attack. Like, come on. You can't let those people be in charge. They can't be the ones making the decisions. Have we lost our minds?
But see, here's the thing. What do people who live in fear do?
They spread
Nothing.
that fear to you. Well, they want you to be afraid with them.
Right, right. And then they do nothing, right? They don't act to get
They're
rid of
not
that
courageous.
fear. Yeah. So if the government can put you in a state of fear, right? If the government can encourage you overtly, that's such a great word, I had to steal it from you. If the government can overtly make you act in a state of fear, right? Government, the ruling class, what does that help them do? That helps them to rule over you. Because if you don't wisen up, if we don't wisen up as a people and work to take back our government, and we just continue to let the fear come over us, nothing's gonna change, right? We're gonna continue to do these same things. We're gonna continue to let people give us mandates that don't make any sense, that have no science behind them, right? And by God, do not let the left tell you about the science behind all of this stuff. Because if they believe that a human being that has an XY chromosome or an XX chromosome can somehow be the opposite, there's no science in that.
Right. Well, here's a good one. What do you think, Chad? Would Jesus follow these mandates? Would Jesus just go and get vaccinated? Would Jesus even wear a mask? What would Jesus do?
So I feel like we got to take this one question at a time. Maybe
No.
not. But first off, me and you have been chatting about this, right? This is something we wanted to chat about, thrown it out there a few times over the past week, and it literally just hit me. Jesus would not follow the mandates, right? Though Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. How many times did Jesus not follow the Jewish law? How many times did he get reprimanded or get called out by the Pharisees, right? When he healed the lepers and they said, oh my God, there's the man who calls himself God and he's dealing with the lepers. You're not supposed to do that. That's against the law. And Jesus was like, whoa, chill out, homies. I am the law. Right? So
He violated their mandates.
Yeah, right. I don't think he would follow the mandates. I mean, he obviously would not get vaccinated. There's no need or reason for Jesus to ever get vaccinated. Obviously, we are not God incarnate. So those different rules apply to us in circumstances. And he definitely wouldn't wear a mask.
Comparable.
Yeah. And he definitely wouldn't wear a mask for the same reason that he touched the lepers, right? He gave sight to the blind, right? So he didn't believe in those laws of, the Jewish law of being around these people. These laws, mind you, the laws that Jesus didn't follow were the laws created by man, right?
The perverted laws that were twisted throughout the history of time as time went on. It was like it's the boiling frog, man. That's all it is. It's the parable of the boiling frog, not the Jesus parable. But you can't put a frog in boiling water; it'll just jump right back out. But if you put it in a pot of water and slowly turn up the degrees one at a time, it'll just bake itself. And that's what we're doing as a country. We didn't have a revolt.
Baked.
I kind of feel like that's the September 11th thing. That one thing, that was like throwing a frog in the boiling pot of water. Yeah, it hurt, but it jumped out. But it didn't have the effect that the adversary was trying to do. It actually rallied us together as a country. It made us stronger, made us resolve. But now you look at, the last 10 years, and it's like little ratchets. It's like just 1 degree here, 1 degree here, 1 degree here. Hey, it's 2 weeks. It's just 2 weeks. Flatten the curve.
I'm so glad you said that.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, baby. And now we are here 18 months later. And the people who were on the front lines of this pandemic, the nurses, the doctors, the people who were up treating this face to face on the front lines with no vaccine, serving in the hospital, trying their best to take care of people, to keep people alive. Well, now they're being told they have to have this vaccine or they're fired. They went from being a hero to the enemy in less than 18 months. Come on. That's ratcheting up 1 degree at a time.
Think about that. That's the same thing with our armed forces, right? NYPD, FDNY on September 11th, right?
Yep.
You see, these men and women, and it wasn't just them. It was hundreds, thousands of other volunteers who went to go help with all of this, right? After September 11th. But they, on that day, on that moment, the first responders were the ones who risked their life, right? They risked their life to go into a burning building. 2 buildings that had just been hit with a jet airliner. And they didn't know.
Commercial jet airliner.
Everyone who was running down the stairs who could ran right by them as they were running up the stairs, right? To save more. And this is what they do. Just like you said, 1 degree at a time, right? Fast forward 20 years, we're trying to defund the police, right? What happens, and I don't, wish this does happen whatsoever, but what happens if an event like that happens again and they want to defund the police, right? What happens if there is no police? Who rushes to your aid, right? Who saves you from that building that you just voted to remove your saviors? Right?
Sad state of affairs, my man. A sad, sad state. So what I think we need some good news. That's what I think, Chad.
There was a good story that happened.
And we're going to bring this into the show thanks to Attack Helicopter.
Mr. Producer.
He's, made a suggestion that we bring in some, either humor or something, a feel-good story. And
wholesome story.
A wholesome story. This will be a segment of our shows moving forward. We'll find a wholesome story for you guys to listen to. And but dude, did you see this? And I've been to this stadium at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. I actually saw U2 play there a couple years ago. I think it was about 4 years ago. And so when I saw this on TV, I'm like, hey, I love that stadium. That's great. And I was like, oh my God, there's a cat from the same level. And it came out from underneath. You can see it here if you're watching it's hanging.
Yeah. Are you able to blow up
the
video and play it, Mr. Producer?
And then, oh my God, and then it falls. And thank God, this guy, the season ticket holder, Craig Cromer, he had a United States flag. And the fans they held it open. They opened up the flag and caught the cat as it came flying down. Well, flying down. I mean, flying cat.
On September 11th?
Was it on September 11th?
I was just curious because he had the flag.
I think it was.
I don't know if it was that or the day after.
No, yeah, it was.
Well, yeah, because it was University of Miami,
Saturday.
which is where Alabama went to play, right?
Yeah, and I'm telling you, that was, one, I just had some questions. Where did the cat come from? There's this cat. Look at that thing. It's just hanging there off the rafters. And I mean, this cat,
how did that cat get there?
If it had 9 lives, I guarantee it used one right here. but it's got 9 lives because it's still alive. Now, the funniest part about that here is this thing was so freaked out. Like, I would be freaked out. You're hanging off the ledge there. You fall down. You get caught up in the beautiful American flag there, and then you pee yourself. You pee everywhere.
And you pee everyone around you.
And there's nothing like cat piss, man. Like, that's a very distinct smell that, the cat pissed himself.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do, man? But what a great time to pull out the flag. What great thinking. And the place, did you see the fans? The fans went nuts.
You're right.
The whole place went nuts. Save the cat.
Well, they had to celebrate something because there was no way Miami was going to win that football game.
Yeah, I mean, something to cheer for, that's for sure. So, hey, good on people for, being ingenuitive and saving the cat's life.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm still, it's been running through my mind. Where did the cat come from? How did the cat get up there?
And where did the cat go? Like, did somebody
what happened to the cat after?
Did the cat just take off? I mean, it peed everywhere, and then it just hightails it out. I mean, that's like a friend I know from college. Go to a frat party, show up, you drank too much, you pee yourself, and you wandered home. Who knows where they went?
Right.
It could have just been a ghost cat, to be honest.
A ghost cat. There's you go.
That too. Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Stranger things have happened.
What if we started the conspiracy theory that cat wasn't real, and oh, by the way, it was a glitch in the Matrix?
Because Matrix 4 is supposed to come out later this year.
What's up, dude?
Wow.
Dude, that trailer looks awesome, by the way. And this show is brought to you by The Matrix Resurrections.
Now, I'm not sure that you even, thought about what a great segue we can take The Matrix into getting back to what we talk about. Because you have this great film. At least I love the Matrix series.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
The first 3 were directed and produced by the Wachowski brothers. The 4th one is written, produced, and directed by the Wachowski sisters, who, mind you, are the same 2 people.
A lot's happened in the last 20 years.
A lot's happened in the last week with California, right? The recall.
Actually, today.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, but they've been voting on this for the past week now, right? Even Caitlyn Jenner was running for the recall.
Yeah, indeed.
So here's my question to you. Do you think, the results are really now coming in, and much like the 2016 election, when they were calling in for Hillary Clinton, right? Yeah. Hours before any of the votes started coming in, like weeks, everyone knew Hillary Clinton was going to win. Everyone knew, right? So do you think, this is one of those instances where they're really pulling for Gavin Newsom and they're saying that he's going to win, that he's not going to be recalled? Because as a part of this recall election, a majority has to vote, a simple majority has to vote outside of the petition. So only 12% of people who voted in the last election or the previous election for the governor's role in California need to sign the petition in order for this recall election to get its start, right? So there's 2 parts to it. The first part is a simple majority has to vote that they want to recall Gavin Newsom, right? And then the second part of this is if that simple majority is to recall him, it's whoever has a majority vote. So let's say it's 3 people, right? One person gets 34%, the other 2 get 33%. If they recall or voted to recall, and whoever gets 34% would now take over the governor role. So
interesting.
Is this another instance where you think that, is Gavin Newsom really going to make it by, or is he toast, or Are the Dems already harvesting ballots? Are they already finding ways that some more ballots are going to be mysteriously counted, like
we know how this
Maricopa
works.
County?
Yeah, we know how this works. So there's an initial vote, and the Democrats, are come out to vote. They mail in their votes or the pre-vote, and then the day of voting comes, and all the Republicans come and actually vote. And then it passes up. All of a sudden, there's a massive landslide for the Republicans. And then in the middle of the night, the Democrats find out how many votes they need, and then those just magically appear somewhere in boxes that get counted. And hey, there they are. And voila, Democrat win.
Right. It's very easy math when you can kind of get ahead of the facts, right? And see that 1,000 is more than 500. But to beat 1,000, you need 501. And then sitting in the corner, there's black garbage bags that have, a couple thousand in there just in case. We got to make some room for error, right? And of course, I'm just making up all these numbers. And then you can just pull out 501, right? Or you can get rid of some too, right? Maybe you pull out 250 and get rid of 251. Or maybe you flip some of them.
Or like in Michigan when, Trump's winning by, I don't know, what was it, like 1 million votes? And then, oh God, look, in the middle of the night, we're going to stop counting. But at 4 a.m., oh, look, there's 400,000 votes in Wayne County. Look at that. A magical, just what they call it, a drop? I mean, it's even brazen. It's like, yeah, we're going to do a ballot drop. We had to go out and go get these ballots. We had to figure out how many we needed. But we were able to get the job done. It was a long night. But we got the ballots in that we needed to get in. And, our guy won. Oh, okay. I think this is going to be the first election, that's kind of a precursor to 2022 and the upcoming elections to see, are we past that? Because if we're not, I think you have a very big problem. And going back to what I even said in the rant with the changing governments, literally we're almost in an anarchy state right now, where you had government, it goes into anarchy state, and then it comes out the other side, a different form of government. That's all throughout the history of time. Whether people moved from a classic republic to a monarchy, to an oligarchy, to whatever, there's all different types of forms of government, communism. And when there's that transition to a different form of government, gosh, there's a little bit of chaos. And there's a lot of problems. But one of the fundamental things that's happening right now is our ability to choose how our government looks. And when that's tampered with and it's being altered right now by our vote, and people don't have confidence in the voting system, they don't have confidence. I mean, I've met hundreds and hundreds of people who do not feel confident that their vote actually made a difference or actually counted. And then we've got all the voter laws. I mean, we're not going to get into this today. Maybe we'll get in next week when you talk about the voter ID and the authenticating of the voting process. Somehow that's controversial to Democrats who say that we're stifling the vote, or we're, people like me. And I don't even consider that a Republican issue. I consider it like an American issue. But you're going to make me show you a vaccine passport in order to go on a cruise or get on a flight or go to a restaurant in New York City, but I don't have to show you any identification of who I am and validate who I am in order to vote.
Wow.
That's the upside downness of what we're in right now.
Wow. So, to just help bring this full circle with you, is I'm reading here, reported from Fox News, is that as a part of this, they fundraise and do everything just like they would before any election. Netflix, the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, was a $3 million contributor to Gavin Newsom. George Soros pitched in $1 million. Priscilla Chan, wife of Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, pitched in $750,000 to stop the recall. So if you think that people like AOC are out there trying to tax the rich, in what world do you think that these greedy, rich people are going to vote for someone who's trying to take away their money?
Exactly. But think about all those people you just rattled off, the donors. Aren't they the elite? They're the ruling class. They're the monarchy.
If you scream it loud enough, it must be true.
Well, Commander Whalls.
Orange man bad.
Oh, Orange Man bad. My man. Well, let's wrap up this show up and put a pretty bow tie on it, shall we?
Commander Dayton,
Commander Whalls.
it's good chatting with you. Mr. Producer, is there anything we missed that we should add in? Anything you have for us?
I don't think so. I think you guys pretty much covered everything.
Appreciate you.
What I'd say to all of you all, go in grace.
Blessed be the fruit, Commander.
Blessed be the fruit.